Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again. Now, I have a wonderful background behind me this time because somebody showed me how to work this particular piece of technology. Yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Um, yeah, we're going to talk about the higher heart this time round. Um, the 4D heart is also called the astral heart. That's the heart center that we work with through the fourth chakra. And a lot of us have, been doing a huge amount of work on that recently, and hopefully even more people are coming into this because it's so important because we're in the fourth dimensional energies at the moment. But it doesn't just stop with opening what's called our astral heart, the 4D heart. Once we start to master those energies and we build beyond it, we are starting the process of building the higher heart complex. And the higher heart complex really is taking us into a very spiritual, high spiritual level of intelligence and awareness. So it comes in at the 8D level when we are building the light body. When we get to the sort of eighth dimensional energies, this is when we really start to enter into the heart complex, and it opens up a whole raft of new information, of new skills, of new ways of really connecting in at a universal level. And I think we're just really wanting to talk and raise awareness of that about it, because quite a few people are already moving into some of the higher fields. So it's worth knowing what you're heading towards and what awaits. I mean, there are just spectacular things that await you as you build your light body and reactivate your DNA strands and things like that. So, yeah, Felix.
Lovely. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. That was a brilliant intro. So the higher heart connects into the oversoul monadic structure. So as we've already kind of jumped from personality to soul, and through the personality level, we're then dealing with opening the astral heart, the fourth dimensional heart. As we're jumping up into that soul harmonic, we're then working more towards expanding and opening the monad, the oversoul, and really kind of operating from that level of intelligence. Now, some will kind of also be operating from the avatar level as well, bit by bit, as that starts to come into integration. But this process of the opening of the oversoul higher heart holds the key, I would say, holds the key to the divine blueprint, because it has the permanent seed atom that sits within the thymus.
Yeah.
So when we start to activate that permanent seed atom intelligence, this opens the instruction set for Christ consciousness, which then extends up and starts to build the interface between the 12th, 11th, and 10th down to the 987. But this interface between the 987 also synchronizes up to the soul.
Yeah.
So we have like a set of well, not really meridians, but channels, well, a complex called the Shara complex, that as this permanent seed atom activates, we've got the Shara complex that starts to open, and this acts as a kind of Christ consciousness communication highway to relay bioelectrical information from the liquid light plasmic fields down into the oversoul. I'm getting really hot. The oversoul and into into the soul body. So we are currently operating from the soul body, whatever level that is for you. It can be just at the kind of the early phases of it, or it can be at the higher phases of it. But one way or another, everybody on this planet is within that field at the moment, at some level,
Yeah.
because we've
Even
reached
if
a level of
even
critical
if they
mass.
don't know it.
Even if they don't know it, they're in it.
Yeah.
So when we kind of activate this higher heart complex, we're then creating the information pathways to communicate with the Christos avatar to the soul. And this extends the higher divine intelligence aspect to move into the embodiment phase. Okay. That's what I've
Yeah.
got to say so far.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it opens up our ability to communicate. Not just, and it doesn't just open us up to the Christos levels of energy. It kind of opens us downwards again, so down through the layers, so that every level of us begins to communicate much more effectively with every other level.
Hmm.
So our awareness of our 6D self, our awareness of our 4D self, our awareness of our 10D self, it's all part of who we are. And this is the way that we should be. We should be, we're a 12th dimensional being, and we potentially really exist over all of those layers and levels. There's aspects of us within this. It's like our light body is stretched out over all of this. And we can take our consciousness through these layers and levels, and we should be aware of it. And there should be this continual cellular communication between all of those levels and awareness of ourselves as this greater being, as it were, rather than this tiny little, there's just me and my body and my five senses.
Hmm.
So once we get to the higher heart, it begins that process and the activation of the Shara complex. It begins that process of us really beginning to integrate ourselves once more into this fully cognizant being that we should be.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting when you mention that you're going deeper into the lower levels as well. Because that just reminded me of whenever we kind of activate a higher part of our spiritual architecture, it does throw us into a kind of a peak of polarity. So when we're kind of facing these higher light streams coming in, it will push us into the depth of the muck to bring that up to the surface to be able to see it. And then we're able to kind of do something about it then, basically. So it kind of like all of this has to kind of come up so that can align and integrate.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the reasons why. I mean, just do the shadow work. I mean, okay, it's fun. None of us enjoy it. It doesn't. It's not exactly the best time of your life when you're going through it all. But just do it, because otherwise it comes back and bites you on the bum at a later level. You kind of think you're doing really well, or I'm working at these levels, and then all of a sudden, crunch! It's like you've been knocked over because the stuff you haven't dealt with, you really don't want to. I mean, I've had some stuff recently that that was. I mean, I had numbed myself to it to such a huge extent, because it was like I so really didn't want to acknowledge it, and it just. I mean, it only took me a day to clear, because once you know what you're doing, you can get through this stuff very quickly. I used to wallow in stuff for weeks before I kind of found out, sort of it came up with the strategies really to move through this stuff quickly, because it just wants to be released. It doesn't need to be sat in. It just wants to be released. It wants to be acknowledged and moved out of your field. And if you won't do it willingly, the more you expand, the more it will come back and kind of like give you a quick slap around the face to make, your demons will come out and dance on the table in front of you at some point. There is no avoiding it. So just embrace it.
Absolutely. And I think it's kind of perfect with where we're at on the planet at the moment, because we are within a kind of a tribulation to liberation timeline. So when we're kind of avoidant of looking at the shadow, it's going to impact when we have the tribulation side of the liberation, which kind of works one and the same anyway. Maybe we'll do a video on that. The tribulation side of things will trigger things up in order for you to kind of release what needs to come out to free yourself.
Yeah.
Ultimately, and that is a complete change of mindset. It is a complete change of belief system.
Yeah.
Which all reverts back to the trust, and you need that trust to hold the permanent seed atom open, because that grounds the faith in God.
Yeah.
And that pulls in the light.
And I think it's also worth saying that we have this heart complex within us, waiting for us to activate and open it. The same thing sits in the land. It sits in the energy grids,
Mm,
but it's part. There isn't just a single higher heart. It's also called the crystal heart, or you might hear it referred to as the sacred lotus crystal heart, or there are various phrases, but there's a crystal heart network within the land, within the energy grids.
mm,
And its function in the energy grids is to move, as the higher heart does within us, to move the higher frequency energies through the consciousness grids of the land. Now, there's been huge problems with that because the fallen races know this, and they don't want the higher consciousness energies running through the grids. So they've actually done a huge amount of damage within the grids. And in places have crushed the heart complex and the permanent seed atom that sits within it, so that it is effectively killed. And part of the rehabilitation that has been going on over the last few years of the planetary Templar and the grids within the planetary Templar has been having to sort of build around these damaged areas and reconstruct around these damaged areas
mhm,
where the energy flow has been interrupted. So yeah,
mm,
we haven't really talked about it an awful lot, but the kind of energy anatomy we have is very much reflected within the planet, the planetary consciousness herself,
mm,
and vice versa. And we link in, I mean, through our 12 tree grid, our blueprint, our basic blueprint. We link in, we lock into the planetary blueprint as well, and we're we're
one and
one
the
in the
same.
same, really. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Fascinating. I love it.
yeah, definitely. It's so
Mm,
so interesting. The permanent seed atom on the planet runs just off the coast of Africa, west or southeast West Africa, by the near the Canary Islands, actually. Um, and that I believe that actually connects on top of an axiotonal line of the planet or a grid
mm.
line of the planet. Um, yeah,
Should be the eighth one.
yes, that
I
would
would
make
have thought.
sense,
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah. It
it?
makes sense. Yeah. Mm,
Yeah, yeah.
mm,
So that what we can kind of see as um, the kind of the planetary seed atom, the planetary Christ consciousness information, and then that sort of recirculates through the planetary axiotonal lines, which then moves into an activation of the planet as it kind of went through an evolution cycle. So I noticed this, I think it was about 2 years ago when this kind of came online. I think it was 2 years ago.
mm.
Um, for me anyway, when I was kind of drawn into awareness of it, but it accelerated a whole load of herogamic union as it came online.
Yeah.
Um, and that can also be the same for you, or it will be the same for you guys
Yeah.
when you
And
kind of
that's
tap into it.
That's a really good point you made there, because, at the 60 level, the 70 level, we're building wings. We build effectively within our light body. We build our male, female wings. At the 80 level, they come together,
Mm,
in this unity. Um, and it's that really that then opens the higher heart. It's this unity of the male female currents within us that then opens the higher heart, activates the seed atom, and
mhm,
then moves us into the next stages of hierogamic union.
mm,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
lovely.
very beautiful.
Nice one. Well, thanks so much, guys, for listening. If you did like that, give us a like and a subscribe. And you'll find Saira's information down below or mine on Saira's page. So, yeah, thanks so much for listening. Lots
Yeah,
of love.
thanks. Bye.